we want to talk about solar technology, solar economics, and how our Switch Together program works. Okay, so local solar power is local power, and it's created near where it's needed, the rooftop to the home, and it's created at a time when it's needed. So it's a very efficient way to make and use electricity. It benefits the grid because it's less demand on the old fossil fuel power plants, and it decentralizes the grid, which is better for everyone as well. It uses the sunlight, it's specifically the ultraviolet light. And so if you look at the map of the United States and the sun coverage that we get, Texas is a very sun-rich state. And so that natural resource should be a blessing to all. And so that's what our work consists of. How do solar panels work, right? So solar panels convert sunlight into electricity, and they're installed on your roof or on your property in what's called an array. They can be installed on your roof or on the ground. There's also carports. There's a lot of different ways to install solar. They're experimenting with vertical installations as well in Germany, and a lot of exciting developments there. So solar panels create direct current electricity, but in our homes we use alternating current electricity. So somewhere in the system, you're going to need either one or multiple inverters, which inverts the electricity from DC to AC. And I won't bore you with the technical details, but there's string inverters, there's optimizers, there's microinverters, and talking to your installer, you can learn what's going to be best in your situation. Some are better for shady situations, and yeah, you can talk to your installer about the differences there. But just basically overviewing, the solar array is going to feed the electricity into the solar inverter that inverts the DC to AC. That feeds your electrical panel and your utility meter. So your utility meter typically only goes in one direction, that's up. But if your solar panels are producing more energy than you're using at that moment, you'll see your meter actually roll backwards to show that you're not only are you self-sufficient at that moment, but you're actually sending energy back to the grid. And we'll talk more about that. So when you're installing solar, what's a good location for your solar panels to be installed? So if you think about your experience with the sun every day, it rises in the east and sets in the west, but it's always going to be to the south of us because we're on the northern hemisphere. If you're in Australia, you want your panels to be facing north because you're in the southern hemisphere. And so there's other things to think about, like shade. If you've got a big tree that's shading the part of your roof where you're considering installing solar, you either want to trim the tree or maybe pick somewhere else for the panels that makes more sense. So there's different considerations there when looking at where to install the solar. Okay, so we also talked about batteries, right? And it's important for everyone here to know that solar alone won't keep your home powered in the event of a power outage. If you're looking for that extra peace of mind, that extra benefit, you want to add a battery to your install. And one thing that we want to emphasize is budgeting your battery, right? And so different appliances are going to drain your battery faster. If you're in a power outage situation and you're living off of your batteries, you want to be very cognizant of what you have running at that time. So when we install batteries, you think of your breaker box, your electrical panel. There's a breaker for every room, every outlet in the home, and one way to install batteries is installing a sub panel, a smaller electrical panel, where we're going to ask you, what do you want to keep on in the event of a power outage? So I would say most important, probably refrigerator to keep the food good, light bulbs, ceiling fans, and we know it gets hot here, right? So the big question is, do you want your air conditioning to be powered in the event of a power outage? And if so, that's going to be a big drain on your battery bank. So you might that at that point you might need to consider two batteries. So there's questions like that. It's interesting, but it's very important to know that your battery is not unlimited. And so when you add a battery to the system, it's going to be a more complex system, and you're going to have a transfer switch somewhere in that system. That might be a little bit too technical for this conversation, but it just balances the traffic, like the grid coming in, the batteries, the solar panels feeding the system as well. There's different inputs, different outputs, and so battery storage. There's more benefits to it as well. Like I said, you have the peace of mind of power outage coverage, but also there are ways to monetize your batteries too. by selling power back to the grid, not only when the sun is shining, but even after the sun is down. Like, let's say it's 8 p.m. and it's still hot and the grid needs more energy. Battery owners can participate in what's called a distributed power plant, where multiple homes with batteries aggregate their excess power and sell it back to the grid at key times and make great return on that energy. And that's one thing that we're fighting for, is for a fair value of your energy as well, for what that value that they pay you back to be more in line with what they're charging us. Okay, so when you're talking about solar, there are a few key terms that are good to be aware of, right? So when you're looking at solar for your home, they're going to quote you a system size in kilowatts, but on your electric bill, you're charged kilowatt hours. It's like, how many kilowatt hours did you use that month? That's what your bill is going to be based on. So it's important to know the difference. If you think of water, right? So kilowatts, like a 6 kilowatt system size in solar, think of that as the size of the pipe that the water is flowing through, and the kilowatt hours is the amount of water that flows through the pipe. And so that might help keep the two terms straight. Okay, excess distributed generation. You might have heard of net metering, right? So Texas is one of 12 states in the country that does not have a net metering requirement for all of the utilities. And in deregulated parts of Texas, there's no set value for what your excess solar energy is worth, right? So when we talk about net metering and excess distributed generation, earlier I mentioned that if you're in a situation where the sun is hitting your panels and you're not using all of that energy, you're going to see your meter rolling backwards, because not only are you not drawing from the utility, you're actually sending them, the utility, your excess generation, your excess solar power, your extra, right? And so how much are they paying you for that? This is one of the causes that's nearest and dearest to Sun's heart, is getting a fair value for your excess solar generation, your extra solar generation every month. But in the meantime, living here in Houston, you have various retail electric providers that'll offer you different prices for and different plans, kind of like cell phone plans, like free nights. They'll have different buyback rates, and it can be kind of complex on like, which plan should I go with. So at Sun, we've partnered with the Texas Power Guide, and it's a free resource for anyone with solar installed to get a list of all of the plans available to you wherever you live. It's free, and it will allow you to see what is the best option for you and make a more informed choice when choosing your retail electric provider. So for the solar economics section, I'm going to invite Dory up here.
That was great, Sam. Thank you. Okay, as I mentioned in the beginning, I've been a solar homeowner for a long decades. And when we first got in, it was expensive. It was a niche market, but we persevered, and now the price has come down. So solar is a good investment, especially you've got the cash to invest your energy for the next 25 years. You will get a good return on your investment. And it's unlike buying a car where it's just like, okay, I get to drive it. But and right now, as we speak, there is still a 30% federal tax credit, which helps bring down the cost and make that ROI good. What's been passed so far is that it will drop down over time, but notice the asterisks, it is subject to change, and right now they're working on a budget that would exclude this 30%. My understanding is if we do solar this year, if you're thinking about it and you say, this is the time, because that 30% will still hold, because any changes they make will be for next year's tax program. That's what we're thinking at this point in time. Good time to go solar. We, as Sam said, we are passionate at Sun about advocating for our solar rights, and we've created a C4 arm, so Solar United Neighbors Action, and we are actively working to defend our rights to go solar and to get the full true value of it. So if you're interested in that aspect, by all means, reach out to us. But as I said, solar itself is a great investment. Yes, the cost is between 10 to 30, depending on, well, the cost can range depending on what size of system you go with. And then depending on your array location and what kind of retail energy provider you work with, you can have a payback within, even better when you go with a Switch Together program, which we'll talk about, but around 12 to 15 year return on your investment. But everything's, in the details, you'll get the exact payback. So we'll pause for a moment and go with any questions. And if you have questions, hopefully, Pilar, maybe you can manage the chat. These are questions that we see that frequently come up, but you may have your own, and we are happy to try and answer them. So you're making a big investment, 10 to 30, some number of thousands of dollars. How long does this investment last? And I've appreciated the fact that solar panels are warranted for up to 25 years. They degrade over time, so they're still going to be ticking at the end of 25 years. And and again, I've been in our panels that we originally installed are still producing energy. The inverters are warranted, also the microinverters for 25 years, string inverters for 10, but you can get an extended warranty on those. And yeah, the question, go ahead.
Yeah, someone in the chat asked, can you give us a range of what the system should cost per kilowatt?
Yes, and in fact, I can give you a specific, well, it's still a range. We're getting to the Switch Together program, which is a group purchasing, and the price for this year's program at a standard size, and in Texas, the standard size for a system is around 9 kilowatts. So we showed you a 6 kilowatt picture up there, but around 9 kilowatts is what most Texans on average need or want. And that came in at $242,
240 something.
240, say, a watt, $2.40 a watt, which is a great price. If you go out just on your own, prices can range from $3, $3.50 down to, $2.50, but $2.40 is a great price. If you say, I only want a 3 kilowatt array or a 4 kilowatt array, the price will be higher per watt, right? There's a certain amount of the cost that's in staging, getting ready, getting permitted, doing the engineering. Good, that was excellent question. All right, so I'm going to go on with these ones, but interrupt me. Warranties. This is an investment. You're making it for long term. They come with warranties, not only for the manufacturer, for the panels and the inverters, but also for the workmanship. Now, these will range depending on, so again, when we do comparisons of our installers, we check all these things, right? Who offers a good, solid warranty for their workmanship and that covers, all the roof, et cetera. And so, again, panels will have usually 25 warranty, inverters between 10 to 25, and there is products out there that can help, because people will say, well, what happens if my manufacturer goes out? I put in an LG battery and LG is no longer making batteries, right? And there is a product out there still to be tested whether it's really valuable, but something like Solar Insure that says even if your manufacturer goes out, we will help do that. And then maintenance. People say, well, what kind of maintenance? Yes, good question. Go.
Sorry, this is a question on the warranty. How to protect the solar panels on roof for it to last 25 years? Are they replaced under warranty? And then this is a follow-up question on the kilowatt question. Is that before the tax rebate? So the 240, is that before tax rebates?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk pricing before tax rebates. The return on the investment, the other slide when I said you'd get a 10 to 12 to 15, I am counting on the tax credit there. And we have to just be full disclosure, right? We don't want to oversell. We want to be, and we are a trusted resource. We're a nonprofit. We're not here to sell anything. So we have a help desk. You can call anytime and ask. Salespeople might try and say, well, look at that. Your return on investment is 12 years. And you are a senior citizen on a fixed income and you can't take that 30%. You don't have a tax appetite. So we just need full disclosure. We need to make sure everybody's comparing apples to apples and understanding. Going back to the question I missed, which was?
Yes, so how do you protect your panels to last 25 years?
It's a glass, right? It's glass up on your roof. They should last there's nothing you need to do. You can't cover them and protect them. No, they're there exposed. So nothing. That said, if you want peak performance, there are places like in the woodlands where there's this sticky sap that comes out of those nice, beautiful pines. And so getting someone, there are contractors that will carefully clean the solar panels on occasion. So that will keep them at peak performance. Everybody nowadays, when you get your solar installed, will have an app and you can see how your system is performing. You can actually see the layout and the color coded to say, oh, all my panels are working the same and they're all doing on average what they should be doing. You can see immediately if one panel or optimizer or goes off. And so you can, it's a very nice self-monitoring to see. And then yes, if it's within warranty, the installer gets from the manufacturer the replacement product and puts it back in. Again, it's all in the detail. Beyond a certain point, and maybe they don't cover the workmanship to do that, so you may have to pay some labor to have it happen. But again, a longtime homeowner, I feel very confident that these are a good investment, and we feel that so much that we're helping income qualified people, which don't have money to spend on, problems, making sure that we feel comfortable in recommending solar to homes that are to save money, not to expend money, right? They're a good investment. Okay, so we talked about maintenance, and again, you can do self-evaluation. Homeowners associations. What happens if you're part of a homeowners association? Will they put up a fight? Will they allow it? And in general, our experience is, as long as you educate the homeowner association as to the asset and the value and why you want it on your home, and that they're no problem. I had no problem with my homeowners association. That said, there are some that have taken our people we've taken through co-op. They've come back and said, my homeowners association is saying no. One particular had to not only go to his neighbors and get everybody saying, no, we don't mind, go ahead. But then he also eventually had to bring in a lawyer to say, look, there's a Texas law that says if the homeowners association can ask you to change the location of it, if they say, oh, we don't like the looks of it, but if it affects production more than 10%, they can't. So part of it, the lawyer had to just kind of put a letter to the homeowners association, and they were able to continue on with their solar. So again, our help desk, we can help you with that kind of stuff. A historical society here in Houston does not mind solar. You can take a historic building. They need to know about it. They need to be part of the process. And then in investment, I have heard of people who, when the interest rates are such, they take money, they borrow money to invest in something when the interest rates make the numbers work. So you can borrow money. Installers will help you to find, they have a financing package. We have credit unions at Sun that we know of credit unions we can recommend that help people get good solar loans. Again, you want to watch the numbers. If I don't want you investing in solar if you're net paying more than you were before. We want savings. We want you to appreciate the savings. And Sam has said, does this mean I'm talking beyond what I should be talking about? Anyways, you have said that don't let the loans be 25-year. Go ahead. This is the whole idea of owning a piece of the sun, is that you can actually own it. So if you can do the numbers, if the numbers help to work within a 10, 15-year loan product, we like that. Did I miss anything on frequently asked?
I can talk about homeowners insurance.
Yes.
So with homeowners insurance, as soon as you go solar, it's important to let your insurance company know that you've installed the solar panels. And so that way, if there's a situation where maybe your solar's fine, but the roof around it got damaged by hail, your homeowner's insurance, if they're doing their job, is going to help you pay for that re-roof, right? But if there's additional costs like removing the solar, re-roofing, and then reinstalling the solar after the re-roof, then all of that will be covered as well if the homeowner's insurance has added the solar to the policy. So that's important as well, to make sure that someone asked about the maintenance and getting the 25-year warranty, just to make sure that the system is performing for the 25-year lifespan that it's guaranteed for. You want to make sure that your homeowner's insurance knows about it too.
And homeowners insurance shouldn't break the bank when you go solar. So you may need to shop around. It shouldn't be, it's like renovating a bathroom. It should not affect your insurance. That said, we have had people come to our help desk saying, solar has caused my insurance to go way up year after year. It's like, no, let's look into this. Solar in Harris County is going up, right? For homeowners, it's a problem for everywhere. It's the solar should be like out of 100 or less. And in fact, the homeowners we helped go solar through the Hub Home program over the last 2 years, one of them said she needed to shop anyway. She found a lower rate even after adding solar. So it shouldn't break the bank. Question in the House.
So there's recently a couple of Senate bills that seem to impede the installation of solar. 819, I think. So that's utility scale, or does that impact residential as well?
And question, do we need to repeat the question for the?
I'm typing it out.
Okay.
Well, so we have a question in the room about Senate Bill 819 and its effects on perhaps residential solar. And so Senate Bill 819 affects private installations, but they have to be over 10 megawatts. And so that's a huge installation. That's someone with a huge plot of land that wants to build a solar farm on it, or just a massive installation. And so we're still interested in that bill and opposing it actively because it affects property owners that want to do solar or wind. It affects any type of residential, renewable. It has to be above 10 megawatts. So it can have an effect on residential depending on who we're talking about.
More utility scale.
It is larger scale, yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
This is my own question.
Okay.
So when you do like solar installations, usually like Harris County Appraisal District increases property value of your home and therefore your property taxes as well. Is the benefits of solar, does it offset that increase?
I love this question. That's a good question. Again, I don't know if I repeat it, but you've added an asset to your home. Is Harris County going to come tax that asset? And then again, your loss, right? We don't love. Texas has a great law, and that it allows you to abate that increased value from solar. So you have to fill out a form 50-123, and we can help you with that. But when you fill out that form, you say, I've added solar, do not, add it to my property taxes. So you've increased the value for your MLS sheet, but you haven't increased the value for your property tax.
Nice, and that's with HCAP. You fill out the, okay.
Yep. Good question. Other questions? Yes.
It was unclear to me about how you actually, without net metering, how you're actually selling that back.
So you go to Texas Power Guide after you got your solar up, or as you're getting your solar, and Fred Anders does a report for you, and he says currently these top 10 retail energy providers are offering you X. So for a while after Storm Uri, when I put solar in, let's just say, I wasn't paying a solar bill. My solar, I had a program, I had a retail energy provider that paid not only the kilowatt hours I got from the sun that I sent to them, but also it put the credits against my TDU charges, my wires and lines. Yeah, right. That was nice. I was not, and that's what I expect in net metering, net, zero, right? I want it to be zero. Storm Uri came, and the center points of the world said, oh my gosh, we have to do a lot to stop this from happening in the future, and they started upping their fees that got passed on to us consumers, and the retail energy providers said, oh, we can no longer foot that bill. So there went for a period of where, anyway, we got like pennies on our kilowatt hours and nothing that we could apply to our TDU charges. Now, and again, it changes weekly. Right now, we're a competitive market. The last time I helped someone, maybe a couple weeks ago, to do that Texas Power Guide analysis, there were a couple of retail energy providers that were doing 1-for-1. We're back to 15 cents to 15 cents. I'm like, this is great. And it used to be like Green Mountain Power said, we had to be your installer. That seems to be no longer the case. So it's looking up a little bit in they want our business, our solar homeowner business. So, but it's hard to bank on. Every year you have to say, what am I going to get? So we're working, Sam is working with the PUC and more of the PUC. You talk about your work.
Yeah, so the question was about net metering, and you're still sending power back physically through the lines back to your retail electric provider, and they're giving you some sort of credit for it. Often it's much less than what you're paying for it, but what Dory was saying is that lately we've been seeing that there are some retail electric providers that are paying a little bit more for that excess energy, and what we're trying to do at the PUC is push them to establish a fair value of solar across the state, and so to establish a fair compensation standard that at least all the regulated utilities would have to go by. And that would be a nice market signal for ERCOT as well, and for this competitive market to know this is really the true value of solar, because there is value when we're sending energy back to our retail electric providers or to our utilities. That's less that they have to generate, that they have to buy from other places, and they resell that elsewhere for their full retail rate. So there is a disconnect there, and there's more that the homeowners should be getting for their excess energy. Were there any other questions in the chat? Pilar? Okay.
All right, and I'm not sure, maybe it's me, maybe it's you. Am I talking this section?
I can do this. Switch
Okay.
together.
Oh, sorry, there is one more.
Oh.
How often do panels need to be cleaned on average?
So that, it depends on where you live. Houston rain, right? In theory, I didn't clean my panels for the first 4 or 5 years. And even when they looked a little polleny, they were still operating fine. So I didn't feel obligation. And then this guy came to my door and said, I can clean them safely and I can clean them for this amount of money. And I'm like, 5 years? I think this is good. In the Woodlands, it might be more often. And in Vermont, they're never. But so it really depends on where you live. And also, looks, it's really nice, like a nice shiny window when you're spring cleaning. It's nice to have them look fresh and new, but that's not a necessity.
All right. Thank you for those questions. It's a complex process going solar, picking your retail electric provider, thinking about the tax credit. We have another question?
So basically, can it be cleaned with regular soap and water if it's safe to get up to the roof?
So I wouldn't use
the soap.
No
That
soap,
the
just-
mildew can affect those. You don't want anything that's going to leave chemical traces on the panels. Just a soft bristle brush that's not going to scratch the panels, something to knock the dust off, to get the sap off. There are some, like, I forget the name of the manufacturer. There's a couple solar specific solutions that could be helpful in cleaning the panels, but I wouldn't use just any standards. All right, so one more question.
I have a quick question.
Sorry?
The price of batteries?
Oh,
Okay, so the price of batteries has come down significantly, but they're still very expensive. So solar has the solar panels the price of those has really come down and made accessibility huge. The price of batteries is coming down, but now it's kind of a complex environment with tariffs, and we're navigating that. So we're seeing prices go up, come down, but with the manufacturing, year after year, these manufacturers are getting better and more efficient at making them. So we're going to see the prices come down. Just like big screen TVs used to be thousands of dollars for the 60-inch, now you can get one for $450 at Best Buy.
yeah, we're not talking return on investment of batteries yet. If we get the distributed power plants really done right, we might be able to, but right now they're still too expensive.
And Rock, you had a question?
Yes, I was just going to add, I'm sorry, that you guys mentioned the 50, was it 123 form for the...
Oh, 5123, yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm looking on the HCAD website and I'm trying to see where would that form be. I'm not able to see that readily available, if you
So
will.
if you Google it, it's a Texas Comptroller form, Texas Comptroller 50-123.
There you go.
And you'd be able to find it there, fill that out, and then use that for your appeal to
You just submit it. It tells you where to send it. So you're going to send it to Harris County, but you're going to get it from the state.
Right.
Okay.
But let us know if you can't find it.
We can help with that.
Yeah.
All right. So did want to talk about our Switch Together program. And we're very excited about it because this is a great way to go solar for anyone interested in considering going solar. So we're calling it's our Switch Together campaign. It's live right now. And we'll talk about how to join that. But what is our Switch Together campaign? So it's a reverse auction process where we're going to local area installers and asking them to put together their best proposal that they can for a large group of homeowners that's going to go solar together, right? So in response, we get detailed proposals from each installer that say, here's our best price per watt that we can offer, which is great. Because as a homeowner, if you're shopping around for solar, maybe you're talking to 1, 2 installers, 3 is good, but getting them to compete on price per watt, they're going to try to put a price out there that maybe they'll negotiate down. But in this reverse auction process, they know that they're competing for the business, so that they're going to put a very competitive price per watt out there. And they also specify what brand of panels, what brand of inverters, what brand of batteries that they're going to use ahead of time. That we look into their warranties, we look into their financials to make sure that they're going to be around to service you in the future as well. So there's a lot of consumer protection built into this campaign. And okay, so you sign up for the Solar Switch campaign. Does that obligate you to go solar? It's not an obligation. It's signing you up to get a quote from this vetted installer, and if you're interested, you can pay. It's a $150 escrow or deposit that if you end up not going solar, you get that back. And if you do go solar, that goes towards your purchase price. But it's just to let them know that, hey, I'm seriously considering, and they'll talk to you about your recommendation. And so this is our Switch Together landing page. We actually have a QR code. So as our guinea pigs in this room right now, or if you're looking at this virtually, go ahead and scan this QR code. There's no obligation. If you own a home, sign up to get a quote. You'll get a recommendation from our installer, and you can shoot them down if you want, but it's just great information to have and very empowering. So we'll wait a second if you want to scan this QR
Yeah,
code.
and while we're waiting, Harris County has partnered, has supported this effort, and it's great to have that support. And as I mentioned early on, we are also really proud of Harris County for stepping up and helping lead the Solar for All Coalition. And Harris County's work, which is still being, I'm not going to speak to their work, but they are working on community solar for people who rent and who don't have good solar roofs. And so by next year, this program will hopefully also lead you, if you rent or don't have good roof access, to a program, especially for income qualified, that can help you also be part of this solar movement, and without having to put all that solar loan and investment up front. Okay, so when you clicked on, did anybody here try it? Did you click on it? And it asked you, right, about your home, about your energy use, so it's pretty simple to put your data in there. And if you find that you put your data wrong, you can later go tweak it, right? It gives you a feel. And the other thing I want to mention, so once you submit, say, good, I'm registered, you will get a reply with the proposal. You'll say, this is what we recommend. You have the control. They're going to recommend around 90% of your load. And you may say, you know what, my budget is not that much. Or because we don't have a good net metering program, I'm not going to do 90%. I want to do 80%. I don't want to send that much energy back to the grid, right? I don't want to build out their grid. So you have that choice of what size system. This is just their first blush of, if you want it, it's going to be about 90% of your load, and here's what it's going to cost, price. And they may not show you price per watt, but it's very easy. You get the price and divide it by the kilowatts of your panel, and that will be your, did I do that right? Yeah, price per kilowatt. Mm-hmm. So you can compare, and it should be around that 240. If it's a small system, then it'll be a little higher. If it's large, it will get a little less.
Lower.
Mm-hmm. So take a look at it, and let us know if you have feedback, if you have questions. And is that all? Is that our, yeah. So that, yeah, we have a whole team to help ask questions, to help answer questions.
Yeah, so we have free resources like our solar help desk. I think there's a link to it here. So the help desk at solarunitedneighbors.org. If you have a question that you think of after this presentation, you can always reach out to us at the help desk. And yeah, I left out part of our Switch Together campaign is that in this case, Harris County will be mailing out direct mailers to residents of Harris County to get a large group of participants. And that large group of participants, it's really leverage. So when the installers respond to our request for proposal, they're putting out a very competitive price. Participants in our Switch Together campaigns, $2.40 a watt, someone asked about that. That's way better than you'll typically find out on the economy. And so this is a really nice way to not only have a vetted installer that's been thoroughly vetted and competed for your business, but also putting together a very competitive price. And so it's a great way to go solar. It's great for the installer. It's great for all the participants. And we hope that you're interested in participating too.
Yeah, and we'll watch over that installation process. So you're not left like, oh, I've signed the contract, I'm committed all my money, and then you feel like out in the dark. No, we'll be managing with our partners. iChoose, we'll be managing that process. And then we'll do spot inspections afterwards. We'll pick a certain number of, or if a consumer says, I'm really concerned about this, we will get a third-party independent contractor to come check the work. So we're really committed. solar has, you can tell it's raised up in the world. It now has scammers. It now has all the challenges. We're here at Solar United Neighbors to try and debunk those myths and make this the good industry that I know it's been. Yes, questions?
Yes, so there's a couple questions in the chat. I'll just go down the list. Someone asked, what is the typical payback on batteries?
So yeah, batteries. I mean, for the first battery, it's about 14,000 for one battery, right? But the expensive part of the battery is really the setup, right? So between your electrical panel and the battery, you're going to have a transfer switch. You only need one of those, so that'll come with the first battery. But so 14,000 for the first, but you're looking at maybe 5,000 or 6,000 for the second after that, because they become a lot more affordable after the first one. The payback is going to depend on the kind of plan that you can join, right? So using Texas Power Guide, you can find perhaps a distributed power plant program. So there are programs that will aggregate battery capacity from neighborhoods or from all of their participants and sell it back to the grid at key times. If you can join a good program like that, then you're looking at a faster payback period. I can't say what number of years, but it's going to take a while. Yeah.
Yeah, generally right now, the payback is the first time the power goes out. Right. So you get payback in not having lost food, in being able to continue your work, because a lot of us work from home now. That's your payback. It's called peace of mind, and it's instantaneous once you get that first power outage. The actual return on investment is not yet there. So we're working to make that distributed power plant concept work. And like David Energy is one I happen to know that if you have a battery and solar, they'll take you on and they'll give you, they say, hundreds of dollars over the course of the year. And that helps, but $14,000, $100 a year, it's a long payback.
Yeah. Next.
The other question is, someone received mailing about Switch Together, but they didn't want to pay $150 just to get on the list. Was that a legitimate?
They should have gotten their proposal. If they filled out the form, they should have gotten their proposal free, right, as a response to filling out the form. It's only if they wanted to go further and move down the step of actually going solar that they would need to put that $150 deposit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And the deposit is fully refundable if they decide not to go solar.
And just so in case we're talking to people, part of the Solar for All grant that Sun is working on is with Hub Homes, and we're going to do 30 with our partners over the course of the next 4 years, and they will need to register with Switch Together, but they will not need to pay the $150 regardless. So income qualified for the select, but that's so minor compared to what we already have, I think, over 200 registrants, which is exciting. So, and the deadline, we should say, because it's always good to have a deadline to think about these things. For this year's program, the deadline for Switch Together is July 2nd. And because of that 30% I talked about earlier that might be disappearing, I would just encourage you, if you've been thinking about going solar, this is a good time. It's always a good time, but this is a good time. And the sooner you get in front of the installer and say, I am ready to go, the sooner you can get it installed.
The other question was, do you have a pool of recommended installers?
So when we do traditional co-ops, we reach out to area installers and invite them all to respond to an RFP. And so we can't recommend one installer over another, right? But we can say, what I have responded is, here's installers that have been selected in past co-ops. And so they've been selected by the members of those co-ops. So we can offer that. If you can reach out to the help desk, or you can do Texas team for the Texas specific stuff, and Sam and I can respond to those.
Yeah, and if you get a quote outside of Switch Together, if someone gets a solar quote, they can always send it to the help desk and we can help you review. We can't recommend any specific installers. It's helpful to look at the reviews and to look at how long they've been in business. But if you just have technical questions about a bid that you've gotten, then send that to the help desk. But if you want a good installer, then join the Switch Together campaign, because we've done the vetting there.
Yeah, and it can't hurt, right? You can register and get your proposal and then compare it to others. But like in a co-op, we made sure we had at least 6, 7 responses you can compare. That work has been done for you already, because we have vetted from a pool of installers, and through that reverse bid auction selected. There are 2 that are servicing all of Texas.
Cool. The question after that was, are you all looking for volunteers?
For sure.
This is coming from a solar consultant.
So are we looking for volunteers? Yes.
Always.
Definitely. And if you are interested in volunteering, please reach out to us at texasteam@solarunitedneighbors.org.
An example of volunteering is writing letters to the editor, because we want to protect our rights to go solar. When a bill comes up that they need to hear from constituents, we're just mobilizing our solar base. So yes, volunteers that way. We also do tabling and love to have volunteers table. And we can send you a tabling kit and helping get the word out.
And then the question after that was, is Switch Together only for Harris County residents?
No.
Nope. Installers love to travel. So we'll tell you if it's too far. Go ahead and submit and register. What we say is Harris County and the county surrounding. So, they'll go far, installers will. And we're also have municipal partners in Waco and Dallas and those counties beyond, so the Fort Worth, Dallas area. So good. Other questions?
Thank you all for all these questions too. This is good.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. The next question is, can we call to discuss batteries in more detail? I have a unique setup as I am on a wholesale electric plan.
Oh, cool. We are, yes, call. We should put our telephone numbers here. But yes, call us. And again, you can do it through the Texas team. We'll respond back by voice. We also are doing a national, Sam and I, part of our tour, we're doing a national battery webinar, which we'll share with Pilar and she can send out, coming up on May 21st.
Yes.
And we're going to go in much more depth on batteries. And interesting question about wholesale, how they're on wholesale. But there is a tendency, as utilities give us less and less value, is to just say, fine, I'm going to be a microgrid. And we've had developers reach out to us and say, we're building a community and we want it to be self-sufficient. And so it really is to the utilities' benefit to get on and work with us collaboratively to make it, we help them reduce their demand charges and we add stability to the grid. And don't be afraid of us. Let's work together. Other questions?
The last question is, assuming there is continuous power on the property, will there be reduction on homeowners insurance?
Interesting. We have not plugged it that way to say, look, insurance company, we're adding stability to my residents, resiliency to my residents. We should actually get a deduction in our homeowners insurance.
That's a good argument.
Yeah, we have not tried that one yet. So try and let us know. We love solar
Yeah.
stories, by the way. Feed us, and we were just speaking with the reporter who really wants to hear success stories. Well, she wants to hear anything about this work we're doing. But yes, and if you have an idea of how we can help you to advocate for like insurance rights, that's going to be something we're all going to have to work on because they're just going up. So yeah, we're going to work on that. So that we're here to help make solar affordable for all.
Yeah, there's some feedback in the chat that says, excellent presentation. I am looking forward to the battery seminar.
There you go. May 21st. I will.
We can distribute it to the attendance list today.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get it. I'm not that good.
But thank you all for attending, and I hope it was informative and helpful in going solar. Sign up. If you're interested in solar for your property, sign up and see what we can do for you with the Switch Together campaign, what's available, what your options are, and let us know if you have any questions along the way too.
All right.